Hey everyone, welcome back to Water Cooler TV. This week we have Coach Coleman Ayers from By Any Means Basketball. Okay, so bring us through your childhood.
Yeah, all right. So I honestly can never really remember like the exact age, but I grew up, I don't want to say a basketball family, but definitely like a more so basketball culture. I'm from Washington, D.C., and then like everybody hoops up there. So just like Miami's like a football town. DC is like a basketball city. So started from a young age for sure. Played a bunch of sports, but basketball is always kind of my main one. However, I'm also a 6 foot white guy, so getting up to like the high school level what became a little bit tough, just in the sense that I played in probably, well, I would say the best conference, high school basketball conference in the country, I guess in the world, because U.S. basketball is definitely superior in my opinion. But so it was tough. It was tough for sure, kind of acclimating to that, and being just really being able to stay afloat, considering that I am, like I said, 6 foot white guy. So that kind of forced me to work one step harder than everyone else, and that kind of bred the drive to improve in basketball. And with that kind of came a drive to help others improve, because I would see all these athletes would be playing on a nightly basis against future NBA guys, high D1 guys. Be like, what makes these guys better than me, or what makes them better than the average Joe on the street or the average basketball player in high school? So then that kind of led me towards this central question. It's like, how do we reverse engineer like the great qualities and skills and talents that these guys have, and build a basketball player from the ground up? So that kind of got me started in the training space, and really just my love for basketball in general just grew immensely then. And now I'm kind of taking that and going multiple steps further with it and turning it into my career. So definitely big basketball guy throughout my whole childhood since I can really remember.
From where you're at right now with your business, with how good you are, do you think if you wanted to walk onto the U Miami team, they would accept you?
Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I gave it or I don't want to say I gave it a shot, but it was definitely I was gonna play D3, so this is basically kind of a very long story short. Gonna play D3 or D2. Had a couple opportunities, um, and I really just, again, to make a long story short, I wanted to focus more on the teaching side, because 4 years of life, that's from 18 to 22 or wherever ages you go to school. That's a pretty big chunk right there. And if I had waited till I was out of school to start really going hard at the teaching, training, coaching side, whatever you want to call it, that would have been 4 years that I didn't have kind of a head start. So made that decision, definitely a sacrifice. Got to and was considering walking on. So I worked with the program a little bit, and then I had too much going on with the training stuff. So I was like, I don't know. I don't know if this is a time commitment that'd be worth it. But to answer the original question, of course, I would say that it would be possible, but you never know. I'm pretty confident in my own game, but so is every old head. You hear 50-year-old men saying they still got it, so you never know.
You talked about sort of the teaching side of,
Yeah,
right? That's really where your whole brand started.
right.
When did you realize you could really start a business and take this really to the level that it's at now?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there were definitely a lot of struggles, but when I started it, it was basically a hobby. So I was really just watching film and doing it under the microscope, I guess. So I was looking at all the little details. Next thing you know, I just download iMovie on my computer and I kind of chop it up for myself, like pointing out little details in the game. I'm like, all right, I'll just throw this up on YouTube, just have some fun with it, see what happens, and really just to kind of keep like a database of videos there. And then it started to gain some traction from there, which was, somewhat surprising. But again, it was still a hobby. I was like, all right, I'm gonna just make these videos. Whoever wants to watch them will watch them. And I started to kind of realize that I had a little bit of an eye for the game, and I had a somewhat natural, I definitely work for it, but somewhat natural ability to just dissect the game of basketball. So with that became just like the drive to research, get myself out there, get some experience, and actually turn it into a business and a brand rather than just a hobby. And there's still struggles, the same ones that I've had back then, which is being quote unquote too young or too inexperienced, whatever it may be. And those have kind of always been there. But at the same time, I've kind of figured out that if you know the game and you're able to teach players something and you're able to show them results, none of that really matters. I'm starting to see that more and more, especially now that I'm 5-6 years into it now.
I started this podcast.
Yeah.
And I could tell you there have been times that I just wanted to be like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm giving up, like, leave me alone. Has that happened to you?
Yeah, especially at first. I think you start to get over that once you you invest that time and that effort and you see the results come in, and you see, like for you, more attention that your podcast is getting, or you start to get some really good guests on there, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Once you start seeing that, it's like, all right, I can take this adversity. I can take it on the chest, move on, because I've already gotten through some adversity. And that's who I am. I'm going to get through this, and my business will be able to withstand this and only get stronger. So definitely at first there were times where I'm like, man, like, I don't need to do all this. Maybe I should do something else, whatever. But it kind of starts to fade away, at least for me.
So you started the business at a pretty young age. I think we're starting to see that a little more, especially in the pandemic. So when you started the business, did you have any help in doing so?
And I've definitely had a lot of help from various sources, whether it's like my high school coaches who were fantastic. They taught me so much, supported me. Some of my teammates, players, outside people who just support the shit out of me. Definitely had a lot of help in that sense, but I've always been kind of or by any means, has always been kind of a one-man thing. I do from everything from the website to making videos to training to all that stuff. I haven't really started to bring people on board yet because it hasn't grown to that level yet. But for now and since I began, the journey has really been me.
You're coming out of high school. You were brilliant. You had like a 4.71 GPA, 33 on your ACT. Do you feel like you threw away your education?
That's a good question. I think the one thing about me, and how I do things in terms of my training, my business, is everything is very detail and science based. So everything I learned in high school, like, things will still come back to me. And I really pride my business and even my style of training on being very, very science-based, research-based, evidence-based. So I'm any smarts, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but any smarts that I do have, I really believe that I am putting that towards what I do, even though a lot of people don't see basketball training or starting your own business as like on the same platform as like going to med school or doing other things that like pretty high academic people would do. I kind of pride myself on carrying that same mindset of being an academic, but also being just like a businessman, a trainer, whatever, kind of merging the two into a pretty like science evidence-based style.
Do you think that you're going to have a competing chance with Chris Brickley?
I think our lanes are a little bit different for sure. I think he's a little bit more on the I don't know what the word for it is, and I respect the hell out of his work. He's a little bit more like on the public side, like brand deals, endorsements, whatever. But in terms of pure get players on the court and see how much better we can get them, not only as players but as humans, I think definitely got a chance. I think I'm getting up there with the top of them right now. So yeah, I do. I think definitely a little bit different lanes for sure, but the answer is yes. I would say got to be confident in myself.
Let's take me for example, right? So I'm 6 feet tall, about 160 pounds. I have pretty bad flexibility.
Sounds like,
but I'm a decent shooter. So when you're assessing, whether it's me or whether it's someone else, how do you assess like what kind of program you're gonna put them on?
So I think everything's very like it's a needs-based model. So businesses do something a lot where it's essentially called a SWOT analysis: strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Very standard like business practice. I kind of took that and made it in a basketball sense. So like, what are you good at? Let's continue to work at those. What are you bad at? Let's raise those to the level where they're not a limiting factor in your game. And then opportunities and threats are a little bit more situational. So like, what opportunities will you have on your team? Where will your team put you in place to succeed? Threats are more so like, all right, what could go bad for you? So address that, rep them out, and really either turn them into a bigger strength or kind of raise the level of those weaknesses.
Give us your alumni, people that you've trained.
Okay, yeah. So I pride myself on taking guys who are a little bit younger and developing them up. I would rather help a high school player get to the NBA than get an NBA player and train him from there. So a lot of these guys that I train, you don't know their name now, but you will. So there are some guys in the area that are really good. I'm not going to mention their names because if they hear this, then they're going to be like, oh, I'm so good, whatever, get their head gassed up.
How do you maintain a relationship with these guys that you're training?
Yeah. I think it starts with trust and having players know that you're in it for them and not yourself, which is how it should be. So from day one is just build a relationship off the court. So it's not just we come in, we get some work in, and we leave without talking anything. Stick around a little bit, talk to them, especially the first couple of times you're working with them. Really try to build a relationship and give them an idea of the fact that you're in this for them.
Okay, so in your future, do you plan on going like working at a business and doing this on your side, or just focusing on this in whole?
Oh yeah, no, this is my this is gonna be my career. So after this, I mean, right now it's pretty sustainable. Goal is to open up a facility in the next 2 or 3 years.
Okay, so we'll go into more of a rapid fire question thing. Would you rather take the shot or get an assist?
Take the shot for sure, 100%.
What's your favorite movie?
I honestly don't watch movies that much, but probably the last movie I watched was Hangover.
What's your favorite athlete?
I think LeBron's.
Who's the GOAT in basketball?
Same answer. LeBron, man.
Now moving on.
How has COVID really affected your business?
I think it's been a good thing in a lot of ways. That's how I'm choosing to look at it. It's forced me to get out of my comfort zone. It's obviously COVID is like not a good thing in any shape or form. Like I would 100% take it away for everything that's happened this year. But I have turned it into, a somewhat positive thing, at least for my business and my brand. I've had a lot more time to sit down and research and actually gain more knowledge rather than being busy with sessions all day.
It was great having you on the show, man. Thank you for joining us.
For sure. Thank you guys for having me. Definitely some good and interesting questions. So it was fun. Appreciate you guys.